Right, so there are extraordinary reports coming out of Russia tonight. Wagner boss Prigozhin reportedly claiming that Kremlin officials had killed thousands of his soldiers and that Russian war leaders had been hiding mistakes from Putin. Let's get the latest. We're joined by SABC News correspondent Dasha Chernyshova. She's with us from Moscow. Thank you, Dasha. Is a coup underway in Russia today?
Well, as we understand, the situation is developing very, very quickly, and the column of the Wagner mercenary group is on its way from Russia's Rostov-on-Don towards the Russian capital. Now, just to give you a sense of how long this way is, it normally takes about 12 hours to get from Rostov-on-Don towards the Russian capital. In Rostov-on-Don, the Wagner mercenary groups claims to have control of all military sites in this city, including the airfield, as well as the headquarters of Russia's southern military district. Now, they have been on their way from Rostov-on-Don on the highway M4 towards Moscow. This highway has been blocked in some areas, but the column has passed the halfway, which is in Voronezh region, all the way to the Lipetsk region, according to the local governor. That is about 400 kilometers away from the Russian capital. Now, there have been several closures of the highways introduced by the Russian officials to prevent the move of this column. And also the counter-terrorism regime operation has been in place in several Russian regions, including in the capital Moscow and Moscow region. Now, there have been reports, particularly by the Wagner fighters, that their column has been attacked by an artillery as well as aviation, while Prigozhin insists that while taking the control of Rostov-on-Don, there was not a single shot fired by the members of his group. So the understanding now is that the column is on their way, and certainly all eyes are on how this column will be approaching the Russian capital, where reports suggest the fortifications on the entries towards the city have been taken care of.
So what does this mean for the war in Ukraine? Are troops going to be called back to deal with the situation in Russia? What does it mean for Vladimir Putin?
Well, certainly the very first comments that we got from the Russian officials suggested that this is not the right time to have this rift within the political spectrum and the military inside Russia. Russia's Ministry of Defense said that the Ukrainian armed forces have started to take advantage of this mutiny by Yevgeny Prigozhin, and they have been regrouping in the area of Bakhmut. But certainly the head of the Wagner mercenary group has a very different opinion. He has been saying that even though the headquarters of the southern military district have been taken control of, the aviation, the assault aviation of the Russian armed forces have been continuing to carry out all the tasks, all the goals as they have been envisaged. So he said that is not interrupting the course of the so-called special military operation in Ukraine. However, the officials in Moscow are making it clear that the rift in the Russian society at this time is particularly inconvenient. Russian president has called on the Wagner boss to lay down their arms, to stop the activities that do destabilize the situation in Russia. So the implications are, of course, paramount, because all eyes are now on what is happening within the Russian borders. And also Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has made a statement saying that the Western countries would certainly take advantage of this whole situation. Moscow has warned them against doing so, because that's an internal Russian matter. But certainly the support that has been expressed towards the Russian leadership from countries around the world, including Belarus, including Kazakhstan, including Uzbekistan, as well as Turkey, has been unprecedented as well. The leaders of those states have said that they do support the measures that Moscow is taking to quell those protests. But in the meantime, Yevgeny Prigozhin is saying that he is the true patriot of Russia, and his activities will only benefit the Russian citizens.
All right, extraordinary. We'll talk a little bit later more about the Wagner group, how strong it is, but let's leave it there for now. Thank you from Moscow, Dasha Chernyshova.